Recovery isn't just about leaving the bottom. It's about learning how to stay steady as you rise. And that takes skills, real practical, everyday tools you can reach for when life gets loud, when emotions get heavy, and when old patterns try to pull you back. Coping skills aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of wisdom. They're the things that keep you grounded when everything inside you wants to run. When you've lived in survival mode for a long time, you don't always learn healthy ways to cope. You learn how to numb. You learn how to avoid. You learn how to push everything down until it explodes. And when recovery begins, all those old habits show up again. Not because you're failing, but because they're familiar. Without new tools, the stress triggers emotions and memories that can feel overwhelming. And that's when people slip, not because they're weak, but because they don't yet have anything stronger to reach for. Coping skills give you that, something stronger. They give you a way to pause instead of react, breathe instead of break, and stay present instead of running back to what hurt you. Coping skills don't erase the struggle. They help you move through it with clarity and dignity. And the more tools you build, the steadier you become. Recovery isn't about never feeling overwhelmed. It's about having what you need when you are. When you first step into recovery, it's easy to think the hardest part is behind you. You survived the bottom. You made the decision to change. You took that first step. But what no one tells you is that recovery isn't just about leaving the bottom. It's about learning how to live life differently once you're no longer there. Because the truth is, the old ways of coping don't disappear just because you want them to. The urge to numb, the urge to run, the urge to shut down, the urge to pretend you're fine even when you're not. Those patterns show up again and again. Not because you're failing, but because they're familiar. They're the tools you use to survive, and when life gets loud, when emotions get heavy, when memories surface, or when stress hits you out of nowhere, your mind reaches for what it knows. That's why coping skills matter. Not as a punishment, not as homework, not as something you should be doing, but as a lifeline. Coping skills give you options. They give you space. They give you a way to pause instead of react, breathe instead of break, and stay present instead of running back to what hurt you. And here's the part people often misunderstand. Coping skills don't make the pain disappear. They don't erase the past, and they don't magically fix everything. What they do is help you move through the moment without losing yourself in it. They help you slow down when your thoughts start racing. They help you stay present in your emotion spike. They help you stay connected when your instinct is to isolate. Coping skills are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign of wisdom. They're the tools that help you build a life when you don't have to escape from. They're the practices that keep you steady as you rise. And the more tools you gather, the more confident you become in your ability to handle whatever comes next. Not perfectly, not instantly, but honestly and with dignity. One of the most powerful coping skills you'll ever learn is ability to pause. Not to fix everything, not to figure everything out, just to pause. Because for so many of us, that moment sometimes hurts. That moment stress hits, the moment fear rises, we react. We go into the old patterns automatically. We shut down, we lash out, we numb. We disappear into whatever used to help us escape. It's not because we're weak. It's because our nervous system learned to survive, not to breathe. But recovery teaches you something different. It teaches you that you don't have to respond to every feeling the moment it shows up. You don't have to obey every urge. You don't have to follow every thought. You can pause. That pause is where your power lives. It's where the clarity begins. It's where you interrupt the old cycle and give yourself a chance to choose something different. A pause can be 10 seconds, a breath, a moment where you put your hands on your chest and remind yourself, I'm safe, I'm here, I don't have to run. A pause can be stepping outside for a minute, drinking a glass of water, letting the wave pass instead of letting you take you under. A pause doesn't solve the problem. It gives you space to respond to it with intention instead of instinct. And here's the truth. Every time you pause, you're rewiring something inside you. You're teaching your mind that it doesn't have to panic. You're teaching your body that it doesn't have to brace for impact. You're teaching your spirit that it's allowed to slow down. The pause is not small. It's not insignificant. It's not a beginner skill. It's one of the strongest things that you can learn in recovery. Because that pause is where you reclaim your power. It's where you choose the next right step instead of falling back into the old ones. It's where healing begins, not in perfection, but with presence. And one of the most important things you can do is having tools that actually work. One of the biggest misconceptions about coping skills is that they're supposed to feel natural right away. They don't. They feel awkward at first. They feel slow. They feel like you're not working. And that's because that you're learning something new, something your nervous system has never been taught before. For years, maybe decades, you coped in ways that helped you survive. Even if those ways hurt you in the long run, they were familiar. They were automatic. They were the path of least resistance. So when you start building healthier tools, your mind doesn't always trust them yet. Your body doesn't always recognize them yet, and your emotions don't know how to settle into them yet. And that's okay. Coping skills aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be practiced. A grounding exercise might feel strange the first time. Breathing deep might feel pointless. Journaling might feel uncomfortable. Calling someone might feel vulnerable. Stepping outside might feel too simple to matter. But here's the truth. Every healthy coping skill feels small until you need it. And that it becomes the thing that saves you. Because coping skills aren't about eliminating the storm. They're about giving you a shelter while it passes. They help you slow down when your thoughts start racing. They help you stay present when your emotions spike. They help you reconnect when your instinct is to isolate. And they help you choose clarity over chaos, even if it's just for a moment. And the more you practice them, even on the days you don't need them, that's more natural they become. Your body starts to recognize safety. Your mind starts to trust the process. Your spirit starts to settle into a new rhythm. Coping skills aren't magic. They're maintenance. They're the daily practice that keep you steady, grounded, and connected to yourself. And every time you choose one, even imperfectly, they're teaching yourself a new way to live. They will become a strength that you can actually reach for. There will be days in recovery when everything feels heavier than it should. Days when the smallest things set you off. Days when the emotions feel too big, your thoughts feel too loud, and your patience feels too thin. And on those days, it feels like you're slipping backwards. It's easy to think you should be further along. It's easy to think you're failing, but you're not. You're learning. You're learning how to stay present when your mind wants to run. You're learning how to breathe through moments you used to numb. You're learning how to sit with feelings that you once buried. You're learning how to choose honesty over hiding and courage over collapse. And learning is messy. Learning is uncomfortable. Learning can be slow, but learning is not a failure. There is a strength in that doesn't disappear just because you've had the hard days. It doesn't vanish when you're overwhelmed. It doesn't evaporate when old thoughts and wounds get loud. The strength is still there. The quiet, steady waiting for you to reach for it. Strength doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like taking one breath at a time. Sometimes it looks like stepping outside for a moment so you don't say something you'll regret. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to pick up an old coping mechanism. Sometimes it looks like letting yourself cry instead of shutting down. And sometimes strength is simply this: I'm not giving up today. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. You don't have to be perfect to be growing. You don't have to have it all together by moving forward. Recovery isn't measured on how many good days you have. It's measured by how you walk through the hard ones. And the fact that you're still here, still trying, still choosing life, still choosing truth, that is strength. God meets you in that place. Not when you're polished, not when you're impressive, but when you're honest, when you whisper, I can't do this alone. And God and grace answers you. You don't have to. You are not slipping backwards. You are becoming someone new. And that becoming always feels like breaking before it feels like building. As a reflection of this episode and journey, I wrote a poem for it called The Tools for the Climb. I used to think straight meant standing alone, holding the weight with a heart made of stone. But healing has taught me a gentler way, that courage is built in the choices I make each day. A breath when I'm breaking, a pause when I shake, a moment of stillness for my own spirit's sake. A step to the sunlight when shadows feel near, a whisper of truth when I'm tangled in fear. Those tools aren't magic, but they stay steady in my mind. They help me stay present. They help me stay kind. They don't make the storm stop, but they help me get through. A reminder that healing is something I do. So here's to the practice, imperfect but real, to learning new ways to recovery and feel. Each skill is a lantern I lift when I'm low, a small steady light on the path as I grow. I want to close this episode with this. I want to thank you for spending time with me today. As you keep walking your recovery path, remember this: you don't have to be perfect. You just need tools you can reach for. Every pause, every breath, every honest moment is a step forward. Keep practicing. Keep choosing the next right thing. And may you feel a little more steady, a little more grounded, and a little more supported as you continue to rise. I want to thank you for joining me here on Faith Between the Lines, and I hope I met you right where you are. You being here in this space matters. Your questions and comments are always welcome and can be left on YouTube on my channel or Buzzsprout. And always remember this: you are never walking alone. We'll see you here next time.